Hello everybody, Kevin here with Kevin's Way Works. So my wife took the Suburban out the other day to pick up some big boxes to bring to her dance studio, and she calls me about 10 minutes into the trip and she says, Kevin, Suburban is really hot inside. I think the air conditioner's broken. So when she got home, decided to do some troubleshooting, and here's what I found. So the big clue here that something is wrong with the air conditioner is it won't turn on. So when you push the button, it just flashes 3 times and it's off. So this can be any number of things. GM actually publishes a list of several things that will put the vehicle into this mode to where it will not turn on the air conditioner. So let's go ahead and see if we can figure out which one of those issues is causing this problem. Alright, so to do this, we're going to use a couple of different tools. One of them is this little OBDII device. Actually, this is the Walmart version that OBDII makes for Walmart. This is called the HyperTough HT200. And this is just a repackaged version, a repackaged variant of their AP200. So it's called the OBDII Maxi AP AP200. This is the Walmart version, the HyperTough. We're going to go ahead and use this one first. So the next one we're going to use is this launch Creader Elite. This one works pretty good. It does the all the modules. It does bidirectional. So there's a bunch of different actuation tests you can do. This one actually works really good. So we're going to use both of these, and we'll see if we get any different results from either one. So here we go. All right, this one just plugs into the OBDII diagnostic port. Just like that, and it has a little light on it. It's green right now. That means it's ready. I think once it connects, I think it turns blue. So I'm going to pull up the app and we'll screen record it and you can watch along. So this one, I actually think I used the OBDII software for it. Go into diagnostics. Yeah, so I have the GM one in here for this. We'll go ahead and open up GM. It has connected to the dongle. The dongle has now turned a blue color. We're going to select auto. We're going to select my VIN. Actually, it will manually read it also. So if you click read, it'll read the VIN for you that way. And okay, because that is the correct VIN. This is a Suburban automatic HVAC under 8600, and I believe it does have the VSES. So that looks good. We'll hit yes. So I did have a list of the things to check, but of course I left it inside. I'll put a thing in the video here, and it'll show you all the things that can trigger a lockout, which causes the 3 flashes. I'm not going to do an auto scan. We're just going to go in here. We're going to choose our modules. We're going to start with HVAC, and here's where I'm going to show you what trips a lot of people up. There it is. We're going to read the trouble codes first, because sometimes there will be a trouble code, other times there won't be. In this case, there is no trouble code. We're going to read live data. Let's just start at the top. Let's do HVAC sensor first. Let's see what it gives us. And it's giving us our temperatures in Celsius. I don't do Celsius. But we're just looking for anything abnormal. 28, 18, 30, 11, 81, 33... sunshade sensor. So all of these look okay. They don't look like they're out of range at all. I think we can set somewhere in the settings for this app. I think we can set our, I'm not going to do it right now, but you can set whether it shows Celsius or Fahrenheit. But you're looking for anything that looks out of whack here, because if a temperature is out of whack and it's on something that's not really plausible and it doesn't jive with the other sensors, then it's going to cut you out and you're not going to be able to use your air conditioning. So everything looks good there. Let's look at our HVAC system, see what it has. AC LED is off. If we try to turn it on, I don't know if it'll catch it turning on. No, it didn't catch it. All right, if you look right here, you'll see, I don't know if you can't really see me tapping because it doesn't change the screen any. But AC permission withheld, that is our problem. So basically, since AC permission is withheld, it's not allowing us to turn air conditioning system on. Oh, let's see. Lower motor PWM is at 0%. Lower motor command speed. If I turn the blower motor up, that does go up and down, and it does have a delay, like I said. Let's see. What else to look at here? Nothing else really of concern there. Let's see what else we have. Our door position. So if your doors get stuck and they don't operate properly, I believe it'll also withhold air conditioning permissions. So you can look in here and you can see if your doors are actually moving. So you can move your doors. Yeah, you can change your recirc. You can't do recirc because air conditioner was disallowed right now. So you can do like defrost. You can change your temperatures and your locations of where you want the air to come out, and it should reflect within the values on the screen. Those are of no concern to us right now, though. This will tell you if, as you press a button, I think it'll tell you if you actually press the button. So AC switch is inactive. I'm pushing it right now, so it says active. Auto switch is inactive. If I push it, so basically it just tells you if you're pushing it or not. It doesn't actually tell you if it's on or off. It just tells you if you are touching the buttons on the console. What else, guys? What else? Switches are all done. That's good. AC permission, we already looked at that. Basically, this is going to show us the same stuff we already saw. Now, here's where it's going to throw you off. See how it says AC head pressure normal? Yeah, don't listen to that one. I mean, it's correct, but that is not what you really are wanting to focus on right now. So as you can see, there is nothing in here that showed us the actual switch. So there's a low pressure cutoff switch under the hood, and if the pressure is too low, it will disallow permission to turn your air conditioning on. So my suspicion is we have a refrigerant leak, and to prove that, we need to go all the way back to a different place. The sensor we're looking at is not actually in the HVAC module. It's under your ECM. So we're going to go under our ECM. We're going to check trouble codes, even though I don't think it's going to show a trouble code. Taking its time. I don't know why it's taking its time. Current DTCs, none. Yeah, so I didn't think we were going to see any in there. So what we want to look at, though, is our live data. And you'll notice on our live data, there's a whole bunch of subsystems to look at. And you'll notice that one of them says cooling and HVAC. So you want to click on that one. Let's see what we have. Coolant temperature, IAT, AC signal request, no. AC relay command is off. AC high pressure side sensor is 0.25 volts. AC high side pressure sensor is 20 kilopascals. So remember that one, because we're going to come back to that one. This is the guy we're interested in. We want to show it in PSI because I think in PSI, I don't think in kilopascals. My sensors for checking my refrigerant are going to be in PSI. You'll notice something very important right there. I'm just going to go back to the other screen. Now you see that it says AC high side pressure sensor. It's for PSI, guys. And right there is our problem. It could be one of two things. The sensor's faulty, or we've lost most of our refrigerant. Most likely, we've lost our refrigerant. The next thing we're going to do is go under the hood. We're going to hook up a gauge set, and we're going to see if that guy's telling us the truth. So let's go ahead and get this guy hooked up and see if this thing is telling us the truth. All right, let's look at this through the Creader Elite. We're going to go to diagnostics. We're going to scroll down to Chevrolet. We're going to hit OK on that button right there. We're going to hit OK on that. All right, guys, you're starting. I see a glare. We're going to hit automatically search. Yes. OK. Yes. Automatic heating air conditioner. Under 8,000 with stability enhancement. We're just going to do a system selection. We're going to bypass going to the HVAC module because we already know that it's not going to be in there. We're going to do read data stream. cooling, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and cooling, HVAC data. We're going to pick did I miss it, guys? History. Oh, yep, pressure sensor. So one of these is going to show voltage, one of them is going to show PSI. There it is, guys. That is also showing 4.06 PSI. And right there, that tells us that most likely we leaked all our refrigerant out for some reason. So now we're going to go under that hood for real, and we're going to take a look, hook our gauge set up, and see what it shows us. Alrighty, I'm out here with my UV light looking for leakage, and the only place I can find it, there's a little bit right there, and I hope the camera can pick it up. There's a little bit right here, and then right here on the low side port, and then you can see all the way, down here where it had run down from that port and got on the bracket and everything over here. So that's the only place I can find a leak, so I'm pretty confident we were leaking from that valve, and that's where all of our refrigerant went, and that cap wasn't even on all the way. It was only part of the way on. It wasn't tight, so it wasn't even offering any type of sealing, even though they're really not for sealing. But so I'm pretty sure that's where our leak was. Okay, we are up under the vehicle. I'm not sure if that's just debris or what, but these are your AC lines. And you can see they run all the way down, and these ones are kind of got some corrosion on them. So maybe we do have an issue. Maybe it is one of these lines. It's kind of tight back here, guys. I don't know if I can get up under here or not. We might have to pull off a panel, the wheel well panel. Here, let me see. Let me get you better light here. I don't know how this thing works. So, yeah, I can't really see up in there that well. But I'm gonna go up and down this with my UV light, and if I find something, I'll let you guys see it. Okay, I checked everything from above the wheel well there to in front of the wheel well here and up and over a little bit, and then from down here up until where it feeds up underneath. Let me show you that. I think I can get you to where you can see that. And there's the lines right there. Whoa, you guys are like tilting all over the place. So you can see right there, those are the lines right there. And there is no leakage anywhere up in there. So it could be up and over the wheel well, or it could be up inside the cabin behind the panels. All right, let's see if we can do this with the UV light. So right here they say is a common leak point because of those pieces of plastic that are holding it in. Debris gets up in there and it corrodes the pipes. Well, we don't have any issues there either. So I am not seeing anything underneath of the vehicle that is a problem. Now the next step is going to be to open the rear hatch up, take the side panel off, or at least pull it back a little bit, and I'll peek in there with the UV light, and we'll see if we see anything lit up green. So we're going to take this off. We're going to look down inside of there and see if we see any glowing. All right, let's cross our fingers we don't find anything. God dang it, it's clean. There's no green, there's none. So I don't think we're leaking back here either. Well, everybody, we did that for nothing. There is no leakage in there. So we have a Testo 550 set up. I have a 0 and 0. We do have our high and lows hooked up. Let's go ahead and hook up to some nitrogen here. Hopefully I have some nitrogen left. I can't recall. Come on. There we go. Let's go ahead and see. Hopefully we have nitrogen, guys. Oh, we have nitrogen. We're too high, though. I want to be about... We're going to start about... Probably should start at, like, 150, but... Let's go ahead and start... I think that's probably 150. Let's go ahead and start there. All right. Let's open up. I'm not going to open up. I'm closed right here for now. Let's go ahead and open up these guys. And open up this one down here. All right, so we should show 4.2, 4.9. I don't know how leaky these hoses are. I want to say that when doing a vacuum that these guys leak like crazy. I bought some new ones. I'll have to go and get those if we can't pull a good vacuum. But let's go ahead and let some of this in, see what we get. Here it comes. All right, so I opened it up down there. Let's open it up over here. So this should hold 150 psi, no issues. Probably can go up to 250. Oops. I thought you could go all the way back. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So we're all the way backed out. So we got about 130 psi. Let's go ahead and crank that up a little bit. $160. It's really hard to hear if we have any hissing because somebody's over there cutting a tree down, cutting up lumber. All right, so I don't know, guys. You want to go a little higher? Let's go 200. I hear the rumblies in the background. It hasn't rained in a month, and I hear the rumbles in the background. All right, let's stop there. Let's close these down. We got about 225, a little more than I was expecting to do because down here the gauge only shows about 205. All right, so there actually is a mode where it'll tell you if it has a decrease in pressure over time, but I don't know how to turn that on. So let's just remember these numbers, 226.5, 227. I'm going to come back in about 30 minutes. We'll check on it and see what it shows. All right, it's been a little over 30 minutes. I just came back, and as you can see, we are down a few PSI. Now, it is possible that we're leaking from one of those connections, but we could have a leak somewhere else, and that could be why our pressures have decreased. It could also just be these crappy hoses. These are just cheap hoses. They're not very good with, holding the refrigerant in. When I try to do a vacuum, I cannot use these hoses. They do not work. I have to use vacuum quality hoses, or I use some ones that I made out of copper. Those work really well also. So I don't know if we're actually leaking, but that quick of a drop though kind of concerns me. So I do have a cheap leak detector here that works pretty good with R410A. It's just your cheap, very inexpensive leak detector, but they still do serve a good purpose, and especially with car refrigerants. So I'm just going to go sniff around. We're going to see if we can find anything. Now guys, I did leave just a trace amount of refrigerant in the system that was just enough for us to be able to do this type of test. So the nitrogen will help push out any refrigerant that's left in there, and we should be able to detect it with our little sensor here. You kind of got to hold it for a while, and if you get really close to a surface, it will give you a false reading. But we could be leaking inside, but you would think if we were leaking inside that the fan would blow out little tiny spits of UV dye in the air and there'd be splatter everywhere. There's no splatter inside. So I don't think we're leaking there. We'll go ahead and check inside, see if we have any detection inside of the vents. Probably our best bet is right there. So at this point, I'm going to say that we're leaking out of our hose set. I don't think we're leaking anywhere refrigerant-wise. I'm pretty sure that that valve is leaky. We might actually have a leak at that high pressure sensor there too, because you can see there's a lot of grease around it. Let's go ahead and pull it out. Unplug it and see if any oil's on the inside. There's not. I mean, it could be leaking around here. But when I had my UV sensor up on there, that wasn't actually lighting up. So I don't think that's where we're leaking. And guys, I can't hear anything. I don't hear any hissing. Down there is the compressor. You can see where it wires off to go into the rear of the vehicle. And then the other ones go up into the front right up in here. I don't see any issues, guys. I just don't. All right, guys, so nothing is standing out as a leak. I mean, nothing's being detected with my little sensor. We don't see any other oil or UV dye anywhere else. No little splatters on the inside, no hissing, anything like that. So I'm going to say that we're good. I don't think we're leaking in the system. I think it's just, just leaking out of these hoses because they're cheap hoses. So next step, we're going to let this nitrogen out. We're going to pull a vacuum, hold that down to 500 microns or lower if we can, because like I said, these hoses are no good. I do have a good vacuum hose. I don't know if I have the proper adapter for it, but if I do, we'll go ahead and hook that up and hopefully be able to pull under 500 microns and hold there for a long time. And if all is good, we'll go ahead and dump some refrigerant in it. So stay tuned. I sprayed water everywhere. I found 2 leaks. One was in the actual hose itself on one of the joints, and now this high side valve is leaking also. So that could be our problem. I know that one was leaking there, and now we see that this one is also leaking. So I think we need to replace this, replace that. I've already placed that one over there. We'll replace this. I'm not sure what kind of valve this is. It's not your normal Schrader valve, so I'm not sure if this whole thing has to come off or what. But yeah, guys, I think that's our problem. All right, everybody. So it seems like my Harbor Freight vacuum pump was no longer functioning properly. So I went and I got myself a Robinair. Let's go ahead and see if this thing works. All right, so here's what we have. We have these connectors, and they hook to the high and low side ports. And then we have our Robinair vacuum pump, and we're going to try it with this yellow cable that came with the gauge set. We'll see if it actually holds vacuum. And also on the high side, I'm going to hook up a vacuum gauge, and we'll see if we're pulling the correct vacuum and holding the correct vacuum. So let's go ahead and do it. Alrighty, we are all hooked up and ready to go. Let's turn the gauge on. And let's turn the pump on. Actually, before we do that, let's turn it on first. And then we're going to open up the ports. There's that one. See what we get. Now it's pulling slowly because I have the valve inside of it still. I did not pull it out because I don't have any way to put it back in. So it's just going to have to pull slow through that valve, which will be fine. It won't take too long. We're already down to 5,000 microns. It's got to pull through that tiny little orifice. That's why it takes so long. Plus we're pulling through the blue hose instead of my vacuum hose, because I don't know that it's going to make much of a difference with the vacuum hose since we're pulling through that valve in the first place. Okay everybody, let's let this run for a while. We'll come back and check on it in about 15 minutes. Alright guys, I've had this thing running forever. I've got us down to 431 microns while it's actively running. I'm going to close it off, let it sit for a little bit, and I'm going to break that vacuum with some refrigerant, and we're going to call that good because I don't believe there's a leak in this. It can hold 250 psi of nitrogen for 12 hours, and when you compensate for the temperature change, it's exactly where it should be. So we're gonna call it good and get some refrigerant in this. All right guys, so I turned this valve off at 420 microns about 2 or 3 minutes ago, and we are steadily and slowly rising. This thing doesn't do any type of calculation, so we kind of don't know if it's slowing down or if it's steady. So not much we can do about it, but I'm gonna go ahead and unhook this hose. I'm gonna put a different valve in there, and we're going to pull a little bit more vacuum on it so I can clear the gas out of the hose, and by gas I mean air. And then we're going to dump a can of refrigerant in here just to break that seal, and then tomorrow we'll finish it off. So I have a valve, I have a short hose, and I have this little thing that hooks on top of a R134 refrigerant canister. And this is one of the ones that has the little ball valves in it, so it doesn't puncture the cans, and you can reuse it later if you want. So I'm going to hook this up, and we're going to then hook the vacuum back up to it, pull a vacuum on this hose so we're not sucking any air back into it, and we'll go ahead and release some refrigerant. I don't know if I can do this one-handed. It's hard to get it lined up. I think I got it lined up, guys. I think I got it lined up. I got it. I got it. All right, so now we're going to hook this hose back onto here. Again, it's hard to get it lined up. It's a big hose. Focusing on a leaf over here. All right, we've risen a little bit, about 55 microns. I'm going to hook the bottle up to this because this does not seal when you back it out. Let me go get a bottle of refrigerant. What are the odds I can screw this on one-handed? Let's try it. Holy cow, I think I got it. All right, I'm not going to release it yet. I'm going to start pulling a vacuum, and I want to just vacuum out this hose right here, basically, is what I'm doing. All right, we're down to 420, 421 microns. I just closed off the valve, so we are rising a little bit. I'm going to turn the vacuum off, and now what I'm going to do is we're going to release some refrigerant to break the vacuum, and I'm going to close off this side. That way I don't get refrigerant up into my gauge. All right, there we go. We'll just remove it entirely. So we now have a vacuum. We're going to break the vacuum. I know it's dark, guys. We're just going to go ahead. I'm going to twist this on down, and this will release some gas. I'm not sure how far I have to twist it. There we go. So we're breaking the vacuum. With some refrigerant. Now this thing takes 3 pounds. This is 1 pound. And once it stops running, we should have a good amount of pressure in the system, and we won't be sucking any outside gases back in. And the can's getting so cold, guys, that I can barely hold it. I'm gonna have to set it down here. Whew, that's cold. It's probably gonna start catching frost here in a second. You can kind of see little vapors on it. I don't know if you guys can catch that. See the vapors? I don't know if it's catching it. But it's so cold. It has, you can see the cold vapors on the outside. All right, so that's as much as we're going to get in there. I'm going to go ahead and close that blue port. And we're going to go ahead and turn this, back this out all the way so we don't release any more refrigerant when we unhook the hose. And then tomorrow I'll show you the rest of the process. I'm gonna unhook this guy. This big guy's in my way. Well, it's not really in my way, but it's making it so I can't move anything to get in here. Everything is ice cold. Get out of the way, dude. Everything's ice cold, guys. Everything is ice cold. All right, that's open all the way. Don't open that up. You're going to let refrigerant out that's in the hose. I'm going to leave everything like it is, pressurized, and we'll come back tomorrow, finish it off. All right, guys, now that we know we have a good vacuum, and we're not leaking anything, let's go ahead, put 3 pounds of refrigerant in this thing. All right, everybody, so since this Suburban has the front and rear AC system, this thing requires 3 pounds of refrigerant. So I went out and I grabbed myself some R134A. This is the 12-ounce can from Walmart. This is the Walmart brand. You can get whatever you want, but I get these because they are still R134A no matter where you get them. And since this one is a 3-pound system, we have to get 3 pounds of refrigerant. And we do measure them in by weight. And as you can see, these are 12-ounce cans, so we need 48 ounces, which is 4 cans total. And ignore the fact that some of them are red labels, some are bluish color, because I got them at different times. They are still the same refrigerant. So let's go ahead and get this refrigerant installed. Okay, so one thing I wanted to show you guys here is, if you have refrigerant and you're not sure if you have used any of it yet or not, I usually write on the can how much I've used and how much it weighed the last time I used it, and that way I know if I am still putting the correct amount in. But if you weigh these cans, you'll see that they weigh about 15.4 ounces. That includes the metal in the can, but it does have 12 ounces of refrigerant in it. So If it weighs less than that, you're going to have to do some calculations to determine how much refrigerant is actually in the can. But in my case, they all weigh about the same. This one's a little heavier. This is the newer cans. They weigh 0.1 ounces heavier than the older cans. But in my case, these all have a full 12 ounces in them. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to put these in. All right, so since this thing takes 3 pounds, and we know that 4 12-ounce cans are equal to 3 pounds, we don't have to do any weighing, we don't have to check any pressures, we can just dump in 3 pounds, and we should be good to go, since this was a perfectly functioning system before it leaked all the refrigerant out. If yours is not divisible by 12, you can go ahead, get yourself one of these little scales, take it from the kitchen if you need to. Don't tell the wife, don't tell the husband, just go get it and use it and put it back quietly. Don't let them see. Don't let them see you using it. So anyway, since these cans now have the reusable lid on them, you can detach your can and you can weigh it. That's the most accurate way to determine if you've put the right amount in. All right, so I left off with me putting in a little bit of refrigerant to break the vacuum in the system. And that way we're not sitting there pulling a vacuum the whole time and we don't lose our vacuum. By putting the can of refrigerant in here with just a little bit of refrigerant until we have positive pressure, we should stay in the positive pressure range for a long, long time, pretty much forever, actually forever if you don't have a leak in your system. So I didn't want to finish it last night because it was dark. We're going to go ahead and do it now. We're going to get the rest of this can in there, and then we're going to get 3 more cans in here because we only need 4 cans. I just happen to have some extra ones. So let's go ahead. We're going to start the car up, turn the air conditioner on. It should now work because the sensor right here is going to detect that there is enough pressure. So then the compressor is going to kick in, and it's going to start compressing gases, and we're going to be able to put some more refrigerant in because the refrigerant in the can is higher in pressure than the refrigerant in the system, and therefore it'll start pulling in the refrigerant from the can into the system until the can's empty, and then we'll switch cans to another one until we have 4 total in there. So let me get you guys set up. We'll go ahead and do that. All right, guys. So I did not put the full can in last night, but I'm going to go ahead and we're going to put the rest of this in with the car off. We should be able to get almost the entire 12 ounces in there. Once we're done, we're sure we have sufficient refrigerant in here for it to determine that there is enough pressure. We'll go ahead, start it up, and we will install the next 3 cans. But let's go ahead. I'm going to open this up, and that's going to be by turning this clockwise until it's in enough to depress. I think that's far enough. I'm actually just turning in as far as it will go. And then down here, we'll turn this guy in all the way. And we're going to see, we might not be able to get any more in there. Yeah, I think it stopped last night where we were. And so that's why I did stop where I was. So I'm going to start the car up. We're going to pull the rest of this in. And I'll show you the process. I'm going to put the cap on the high side here because we are not going to check pressures because I know this system was good. So you can use a gauge set if you want. So if you're refilling a system that's only partially empty, you'll want to use a gauge set. I prefer to evacuate all the refrigerant and then just weigh it in. It's going to be accurate that way. But if you're unsure of the system, if it's not operating properly, you can use a gauge set. My only issue with the gauge set is you then end up with a bunch of refrigerant in the lines that you have to evacuate and store. So don't want to do that. You don't want to release it to the atmosphere. It's illegal, number one. And number two, because it does cause global warming. It does deplete the ozone layer a little bit, and it's just generally not good to do. So we're not going to do that. We're not going to use the gauge set in my case, but I just wanted to show you that because sometimes you will need a gauge set. All right, let's go ahead and get her started up. All right, let's go ahead and turn this guy on, see what happens. So hit your power button. Make sure your AC button is on if it's not already on. And make sure it's as cold as it goes, which in our case is 60. And I'm going to leave everything else like it is. I don't know if we need the auxiliary. Let's turn the auxiliary on. That turns the back on too. All right. Now that that's running, let's go under the hood and put some refrigerant in it. Why are we not releasing any refrigerant? Because I don't feel any refrigerant going in. What's going on here? Oh, okay, my bad. So with this dial here, if you have it turned in all the way, it must seal it and turn it off. So you got to back it out a little bit. That's why I couldn't get any to go in. So anyway, I'm going to rock this a little bit as I'm going. It just helps it go in better. So I don't know if you guys heard that. The compressor just did kick in. Every time the compressor kicks on, it pulls more refrigerant in. It should be on continuously right now. I'm not sure why it's not. Let me go check inside. I'll be right back. It's just coming on and then turn it off. Okay, now it's staying on for longer, guys. So the compressor's still on and it's sucking the refrigerant in good now. It's getting really cold in my hand. I can't believe this thing takes 3 pounds total. That's a lot. Just keep doing this until your can's empty. If you're not sure if your can's empty, we know that the can weighs 15.4 ounces. Actually, this one's 15.5. We can always take it over and weigh it until it only weighs 3.4 ounces, and then we know it's completely empty. I'm just kind of trying to disturb this constantly so it will be more likely to flow out. I mean, you can just let it sit here and vaporize, but it's going to take a while if you do that. So it's hard to weigh. If you try to weigh this with the hose attached, you don't really get a good accurate reading. So I think this is about empty. I'm going to open it up all the way. I'm not sure if this seals. Hold on. So I have a little issue. I thought this sealed when you backed it out. It doesn't seal here. That's not good. That means we're going to have to turn this dial off down here. We're going to have to release a little bit of refrigerant we have in here already. And then we're going to get another can. I'm going to weigh this can to show you guys how much it weighs. All right, let's see how much the empty can weighs. It should weigh 3.5 ounces. Look at that. So this can is completely empty. Let's get another one going. Here's what I'm going to do. Because there's air in the line, I'm going to release some refrigerant. So we're going to screw it all the way down, and then we're going to back it out a little bit. So now we should have refrigerant going through the line. I'm going to purge the air right here. Just until some refrigerant comes out. So we know there is no air in this line anymore. Up and through here should be completely just refrigerant. So now we can go ahead and we can open this guy back up and we can start putting more refrigerant in. Make sure you have your dial out just a little bit if you're using this style, so it'll allow the refrigerant to escape. So I do feel it coming out. I can tell because it's getting cold. Now these do have instructions on them. I'll go ahead and we'll take a picture of it and read it. All right, guys, I can actually read this with my eyes. So I'm going to read this to you. It says, start the engine, set the air conditioner controls for maximum cooling. Check system with gauge, determine low pressure suction service port. We already know which port's ours, and we are completely empty, so we don't have to do that. Charge the system only through the low pressure side. Hold the can upright to charge the gas. This is a can with a self-sealing valve and will require a charging hose made for self-sealing cans. While charging, rotate the can between 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock every 2 to 3 seconds, while continually agitating, shaking the can back and forth. Continue this process until the can is empty, 5 to 15 minutes, or until the correct amount of refrigerant is charged into the system. Always store partially filled cans with recharge hose attached. Use only the required amount. Use only with synthetic oil. There you go, guys. All right, let's go ahead and continue agitating this can. I'm not going to shake it. As I rotate it, it kind of shakes it. If you're doing this and your compressor doesn't turn on, then you've got some other issues you need to figure out. But in our case, our system is fully functioning. We determined it was having problems because it was only reading 5 psi, or just a little under 5 psi. And so in our case, we had a leak. We had 2 leaks. We had a leak here on this valve. This is the high side valve. We had a leak on the low side valve. 2 different leaks. This one didn't show any oil, probably because it's facing upright and it was just leaking gases out. And down here was clearly leaking oil because it was running down the side. I pressurized this to 250 psi and it held pressure all through the night, all through the next morning, and up until probably afternoon when I checked it. And so that tells us that, and I did a calculation to compensate for the temperature, and it was exactly what I put in. So this does not have a leak anymore. It is totally leak free, and we did solve that issue, and that's why we're just doing the refrigerant. I checked everything. I even pulled the rear of the vehicle apart. I checked inside of the evaporator coil back there. I checked in the evaporator coil inside of the vehicle in the cabin area, the front cabin area, and there is no leak there either. There are no visible leaks. As you saw, I went up under the vehicle and I checked every line underneath the vehicle. There are no leaks there either. So the problem was these valves. Now this valve is a ball valve if it's factory. At least the 2007 is a ball valve, and it was visibly leaking. I couldn't even put my finger over it and hold it on there. There was so much air coming out of it, nitrogen coming out of it. Another note here, and you'll see I did a boo-boo. This nipple actually unscrews through the sides of these ridges. They are not round. You put a wrench on there and you take it off. This, where I damaged it, this is actually part of this, which is welded to or soldered to the actual line. So don't do what I did. Don't damage the top like I did. It is not part of this, and that explains why I had a hard time getting it off. Anyway, learn from my mistakes. So this is going to take a while. It's a big system. We have 3 pounds to put in. I think we're almost done with this can now. But it goes faster if you rotate it. And when we're done with this, we're going to check the temperature coming out of the vents on the inside. Which can is this? This is the blue can. This one weighs 15.3 ounces. So when we're done, we should only have 3.3 ounces left, which is just the actual metal of the can. And that's it. Any more than 3.3, then we did not get all the refrigerant out. You can see this thing's sweating because it's so cold. It is almost empty. I don't hear anything sloshing, but there's probably still a little bit of gas in there. Let's go ahead and close off our port. Careful, this hose right here is hot. It has straight up coolant going through there from a cooling system from the engine, and that's your heater core. So this is getting your 225 degree, or maybe less, let's say 200 degree coolant going through it, so don't get your hands down in there. So now that we have that off, let's go ahead and screw this out. Let's release this can. Now unscrew it carefully, because if you did something wrong and you unscrew it and there's still refrigerant or pressure in here, you're going to end up have refrigerant come shooting on out here. You don't want that. Number one, it's a waste of money. Number two, you could actually burn yourself by getting frostbite And number 3, it's bad for the ozone. And number 4, it also causes carbon dioxide buildup, which contributes to global warming. And you don't want to be that guy. Alrighty. Spin around here. Guys, be careful in the engine compartment with it running. There is a whole bunch of systems up here, and belt systems. You can get your tie caught in. Don't do this with a tie on. Don't do it with anything dangling off your neck. Yeah, because that would not be good. All right, so we screwed this on. We're going to put this down until it bottoms out, and then we're going to back it off a couple turns. Right there is probably good. Let's go ahead and purge our line. Line is purged. And now we're going to go ahead and open up our valve here. And let's release the gas. Make sure this does not open up. If this opens up, you're going to get a whole bunch of vapor out of here. Just for safety, I'm going to put the cap on that. I just noticed it was starting to turn. So for safety, I'm going to put this cap back on. We don't want to lose our gas. We don't want that blowing in our face and burning us, or freezing our skin, causing frostbite. And we don't want to lose our refrigerant because of what I said earlier about, because it's not good for the earth. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Kevin's horrible elevator music. That might be all we're gonna get out of this one. I unplugged my transmission cap there. All right, last one, guys, last one. La di da 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 do, la da dee da do. More horrible elevator music. Guys, it's fall here, so there's leaves everywhere. Making a mess. The trees are putting out this sticky sap, so all my cars are covered with sap. And they're all sticky because I have to park under trees, but I don't have anywhere else to park. I think that's it. I think we did it, guys. I think we did it. Now that this is empty and it's our last can, let's go ahead and relieve the pressures. And relieve that pressure, I'm gonna release any tiny bit of gas that might be in there. Let that out. And we're done under here almost. We're almost done under here. All right, now that that's done, this should be empty. I was just releasing any pressure because if you have pressure in here and you try to take this off, it's going to pop real hard. And I just want to be nice and easy with it. So I'm using a core removal tool. It just gives me extra port to use if I need it. And so there's the manufacturer of it. If you ever want to get one, these are really good. All right, now that you're done, if you want to, you can spray these down with some soapy water just to make sure that your valves aren't leaking. I've already tested mine. I'm not going to spray them down again because then I have to blow them out so they don't have soapy water in there all the time. And I don't really want to mess with that, but if needed, you can do that. And for that, I just take Dawn or some dish detergent and I put a whole bunch of it in with some water and a spray bottle, and then you just spray it on everything. and you look for bubbles. And if you see bubbles, you have a leak. And it's safe to use. Like I said, I don't like to leave it in the valves afterwards. You want to blow them out. But I don't want to get my air compressor and everything hooked up just to blow those two out, since I know they are no longer leaking. And grab your cap, put it on. Don't cross-thread it. I almost cross-threaded it. So at this point, everything is back the way it was. This is cold. This should be hot over here. It is. And then it goes through the orifice tube, which lets the gases expand, and it becomes cool and runs through the system and cools you off inside. So let's go ahead inside. Let's check the temperatures coming out of the vents. All right, let's see what we've got. I can't really do it out of these vents because I don't have vents in. I don't want to lose my gauge down in there. I took these out because I have to get the recall done on the airbag, and I redid the entire dash. And I didn't want to put this stuff back in, have them pull it out and break everything even more. So I'm just going to leave that out, take it in for the recall. So we're going to try this two ways. I have this little analog gauge right here. I can figure out how to get it in there. There's like a door that closed on me, or either I closed it accidentally. Let's get that in there. We'll see what it ends up at. I can tell you this, it's way less than 60. It's taking its time going down. While that's going down, we're going to check it with the digital gauge. So I've got my digital gauge here. Let's see what it shows. You guys see that? 47, 46, 45, 44, 43. This one's showing 40 something already. What does that show, guys? Can you see? It shows in the 30s. So we're sitting right about 40 degrees drop. It is 76 degrees outside. Let's see what, sorry guys. Let's see what these show. 39, oops. 39, 44. $37. Ooh, 34. That one must be coming straight off of the evap coil. So guys, I'm going to say that, 33. Dang. Well guys, I'm going to say that was a success. So we're pulling low 30s. If it gets colder than that, what will happen is there's a sensor inside of the system. It'll detect that it's too cold. It'll briefly turn off the compressor, and then that'll warm up the air just enough to keep the coil inside the car from freezing. So perfectly fine for it to get that cold. If you have a faulty sensor that never actually detects the temperature dropping enough, so let's say you have a sensor that can, for some reason, it's only detecting down to like 45 degrees. It won't go any lower than that, or its calibration's just off, internal resistance is off, and so it's always detecting high. What will happen is your system will freeze up, and then you won't get any nice cold air coming out. So if you do have that happening, where if you're driving for a long distance, a long trip, it doesn't have to really be a long trip, it could only be a few miles. If you have humid air, the core can freeze up really quickly, and then it'll start blowing less and less forceful air out of the vent. And that's a good sign that there's two issues. Either it's freezing up because you're low on refrigerant, or you have a bad sensor. You have a bad sensor, and so it always thinks that it is cold. It always thinks the temperature is warmer than it actually is coming out of the vent, and it never turns the compressor off. So that is something to look out for if you have that happening, because I have seen that a lot. I have actually fixed that a few times. on my own personal vehicles. So, but as you guys can see, we are fixed. We are pulling nice cold air. We do not have a leak anymore. We do not have the issue with corrosion down the lines that feed the back. We don't have rock salt here. They put brine on the roads if we're going to have, you know, an ice storm or snow, which really does happen. And in those cases, you know, the roads aren't clear to drive on anyway, so most people just stay at home, rarely go out. And if you do, you might get a little bit of that brine on your car once every 5 years, and it's not a big deal. We just do not have that corrosion. So everything underneath this vehicle is in perfect condition. It's not a problem. So guys, I hope that was helpful. If you have similar issues like I did, hopefully you can use this video to fix your vehicle. And as always, I want to thank you for watching. Kevin's Way Works.
Uh-oh.